I can safely say that, this strategy, even in the toughest markets per se, it works better than small cap stocks, honestly. I have been, I think, 4 out of 4 green, um, broke even just right now, 3 out of 3 green. No, this is all one trade together. This is two trades actually. This is two trades together, so this is five. So 5 out of 5 green within the last 2 days, and small cap stocks, like, you have to wait for a certain cycle to really push the gas to the metal, or push the pedal to the metal, I guess. But you also, I mean, it works on your discipline, so I'll give it that, and it's quicker entries. But today it was a little bit of a longer hold. I'm gonna go over yesterday's trades as well. Meme, SPY QQQ since October. I thought this was funny. Like, this is literally everyone. Um, Shaking trades is like a fart. If you force it, it's probably shit. So let's look at yesterday's trades. Alright, that photo's funny. So yesterday, the first one I took was IWM. So yesterday was the Fed rate meeting. They decided to keep the rates steady, but everyone already knew that. That was going to be priced in. So we'll go into IWM. It's going to be a bit of a longer video. Try not to make it as brief or not as long. So I was solely scalping puts into IWM. This was, I guess, an easy one to say that you could predict because, I mean, hey, rates are going to stay still. Inflation data was high. The numbers from yesterday, let's see, we'll go over here. None of this is, this is what also, like, gave in more sentiment from yesterday. So this uh, PPI year over year and core PPI year over year, especially this number, the PPI year over year producer price index, it's up almost 0.5% or 0.5%. And this hasn't even priced in the war yet, too. So we're seeing the solid increase, and the war is we're gonna know next month how that data will look. So this was yesterday. Obviously, same thing. Pre-market and overnight hours have been the main move, and then throughout the day, it's been slow and steady price action. So, this price action, look at it. It was just slow, just straight line, and began to rally up a little bit closer to 200 and just dropped because that's when the meeting occurred at 11:30. 11:30 my time. So I took my first trades right here on the IWM puts, 3 contracts for 248, and I needed to stay closest to the money as possible. So I know this 5 minute was going green, but didn't have support. I didn't feel too confident that this would hold above the 20 EMAs. Did pop over, but then as soon as we rejected, that's when I would get in. And then 10 minutes later, I sold near the bottom right here. And yeah, I profited on that one, about $91. So I was pretty happy. Then I took QQQ. So I've been trying to trade QQQ a little bit more. And, honestly, I think it works. I like it. Just want to get a bit of a hang on it. QQQ works. And I think I'll show you a recording of live. But I did a little bit of live recording of me watching the charts. So QQQ, I took another entry similar to the same time as IWM, except rejected, and it was flat, and then it would fall through. I sold for a little bit, didn't get so much out of it, but one contract's not bad. $38, I'll take it, And it did go down further. However, I don't know. I didn't want to be caught holding long. It just wasn't. I don't know. The last couple of days has been a little bit hard, and the only thing that I was struggling with were the entries. I was like, I'm getting in a little too high for these puts. They were a lot lower. I could have got these puts for about $200 instead of 230, and that would have profited me a lot more. That's an extra $30 of profit times three, $90, 180. These I don't know. I'm looking at the 4 hour, and I was like, okay, we're rejecting off this 9. We're crossing through. MACD's gonna go red. Everything was giving good signs that this would go bearish and this would sell off. And then 1 hour chart on this one was a lot of things I was looking at yesterday, trying to find where do we have support? Where can we, when we're below the EMAs, where do I look? What am I going to look for? I mean, since I took these at 602, I was like, okay, possibly at 600 would be a good support just because it's 600, the next whole dollar down. But I thought that was not a bad idea. So then, okay, fine. That was the beginning of the morning. Then I was able to sit down and trade through the Fed rate meeting. So at I traded SPY. So I traded SPY closer to 11:45. No, 11:15. The meeting was 11:30, but market was already anticipating, this meeting to occur. So obviously it was going up, and then as soon as this crossover happened, I saw this. I took my first trade, and I actually took another trade. I took one for far out to 662 because I was like, okay, let's see if this does sell off dramatically, and if we go from the current price at 666 to 660, because maybe I don't know. Last time the Fed rates cut it, the meeting was they cut the rates last time, but then it shot up like crazy. So I was like, okay, what if we have the opposite effect? And I took that chance. I took that risk. So I sold around the same time. So I got in here for my 666 puts for SPY, and then I held for these 5, 10, 15, 20, about 20 minutes. I sold right here, and then I sold the 662 puts as well around the same time for almost 2x. These were close to 2x, but I just sold. I didn't want to get called, and I was like, let me just not get greedy. But they were, far out the money, so maybe I should let them ride out a little more because we kept on going further down. We kept on going further down. We hit 662. Like, I think these would have been 3x if I'm not mistaken. I think these were like around $100. So that was yesterday. Yesterday was, I was like, okay, it's supposed to be the hardest day to trade because it's a Fed rate meeting. You're expecting chop, chop, chop. But I was able to profit. Not as much as others, but today's price action was even worse. Look at this straight line. So I traded QQQ only today. I did not focus on IWM. IWM was a little bit too suspicious. I mean, we're gonna go into this right now. So, okay, let me pull up the recording. So on the 5 minute, my first trade was no longer than a minute. My first trade was no longer than a minute. It was very quick, and on that first trade, I made about $51. I made around $51 on that first trade. So I was like, wow, that's good. So I'm gonna pull up the video right now. Screen recording. Let me see. Capture side. There we go. Okay. So this was early in the AM. I don't think there's any sound on here. Anyways, I was looking at QQQ mainly, and this was an hour. I held these for almost an hour. The first one was very, very quick. So I was slowly plotting. Um, wow, I fast forwarded that way too quickly. Okay, so that was my first 1 minute entry right here, as it was supposed to break the 90 EMA, and it did. And as soon as I hit the 200 EMA in the 1 minute, that's when I took it off the table. And then I was looking at the 5 minute. I was like, all right, this is moving slow. I'm looking at a lot of things at the same time. I'm also talking to my brother. I'm talking to my brother through this whole trade. So I'm gonna fast forward for a bit because it does get a little bit boring. Because all it is, I mean, look, it broke through the 100, 200 moving average on the 1 minute, but on the 5 minute chart, the 200 moving average was a little bit further up. So I waited for a pullback on the 5 minute. I was like, okay, let this pull back on the 5 minute, let it bounce through the EMAs, and then that's when I'll get in. So as soon as I got in, so those arrows are when I got in. Yeah, right in that candle. Yeah, right there. And then it began to sink further, and I was like, okay, we have the high day of 589.51, and I'm like, okay, support resistance becomes support. It didn't retest the high of day, not yet, and maybe that's where my entry should have been, the high of day. But I got a little bit too high. I was focused a little too much on the 1 minute, and the 1 minute's a lot of noise because as soon as it bottomed at that 200 moving average, immediately on the 1 minute, it starts squeezing up. And I was in already a couple contracts, I think 3 contracts. I think I took two, yeah, I took 2 more contracts at the same time, and it kept squeezing up, and it squeezed up really high, and I couldn't even get out on this first attempt. It was just so quick that it didn't hold. So I was like, this is not good. If they're not holding, then, and I'm in 591s. So I'm already up $51 on the day, and squeezing. I'm like, this is so good. We like that. Then it tops around 592.37, I believe. I think right here forms like a really thin doji candle, and then it just flushes on the next candle after this one. Looking at the woman, and I'm seeing this pullback. I'm like, oh shit. So today was it was kind of flat, you know. So I was watching this the whole time. What structure I was seeing was an increase in support. We had a double bottom here at 587.10. I was like, I like this. This is good. This is bullish. I'm seeing this. A lot of the move already happened pre-market overnight. So a lot of this was just patience and talking to them. They're like, no, we'll be good. This is where it retested the high of day at 589.51. So I was a little nervous. I was like, I was already down $200, and I was like, let's see where this candle closes. Let's see where the candle closes. So it doesn't close below that. It wicks at that level. I'm like, okay, find the support. And it was going down a little bit further. And I was like, no, let's let the candle finish. The candle finished right there. And I was like, wow, what a fake out. And then immediately starts to squeeze up. I'm like, holy crap. The MACD still, you know, it's still green. This took some balls to hold. I'm not going to lie. This took balls to hold. I was seeing the structure happening, and knowing how this market has been so far, it required a good holding time, and that's the area I was targeting. So I circled the area. That's where I was targeting. I'm like, I need it to break cleanly through there because it will get me in further into profits. Now I did cost average down on my calls because I got a little bit high. I got them to an average of 230. I'm sure you, I think you guys saw those. Let me see what average they were at. The next ones, I slowly scalped it out of these. Yeah, they were a 239 average when I sold them. So it's going up, squeezing. I couldn't get out again. I'm in 5 contracts already. I added as soon as it was waiting for its next move up, and I couldn't get out. Like I was like looking, targeting the area because I do want to get better at holding without bailing out so early. But this market doesn't hasn't so far has not let you done that. You know, you need to take your profits immediately. But sometimes it'll be quick. Like right over here, that was very quick. I was up 148 just on 3 contracts. Should have taken it off table. I couldn't. I actually couldn't get filled. 1 minute can be already enough to just wipe your gains. So it's really risky. So here I was like, huh, I don't know what I was spazzing out there. But let's see, let's fast forward. Then it pulls back again. I'm like, no way. I'm like, there's no way we lost our opportunity again. So today was psychologically tough, but I was like, nope, I still see a structure. I'm not gonna give in. Not yet. It's holding great above the VWAP. If this was gonna sell off, it would have sold off sooner. It held support above the high of day. I was like, okay, that's the floor for now. Later in the day, you know, a little bit different story. And then I had my green arrow because I was ready to sell. I was like, okay, the next pop, I have to sell. There's no point in holding this. But I was like, okay, let's keep going. MACD is still green, bouncing off the VWAP again, and then goes higher, pushing through the 200 moving average. It's moving. I'm like, okay, this is better. We have better bullish candles, bouncing off the VWAP. 920. And then let's see. And I was like, okay, it's not there yet. It's close. I circled the bottom of that. I'm like, this is increasing support, decreasing resistance. That's exactly what I was seeing. I think I made those lines on the SPY. Yeah, right here. And I noticed obviously when things are slowly starting to level out, those averages will come down, especially if they're high average, the 200 moving average will come down. So I was like, okay, maybe this is gonna be able to pull it towards the 200 moving average since it is coming closer and closer. So I thought this was a good breakout spot. So I'm watching both at the same time along with IWM. So it's pulling up, going up higher, and I sell right here. I already had sold, I was just putting my arrows. So I sold as soon as that pop happened. So it took a long time to really get out of this position, but if you zoom out, let's close this. If you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, I mean, this was not bad. You know, we had a double bottom, you know, made a move up, consolidated a lot longer than usual, but I saw this bullish structure happening. it was gonna be time. It had to have been time for this to really pull through and potentially hit the EMA, because we've already hit the 200 moving average on the daily chart. This is not a good daily chart. It's too messy. This one right here. So you see here on all the dailies for the indexes, we've already bounced off the 200 moving average. We had a gap. I was like, we're going to be hitting this, and we did at the end of the day. And this is also because there was news, I guess, Israel Prime Minister spoke, and this immediately shot up. So I missed this move, and I tried to get in on SPY today to see if there's any more room for that, but I couldn't. So yeah, this one I broke even completely. Held these for about 15 minutes. I was like, you know what, we're close to the end of the day. What am I doing? I'm risking more than what I made today, and I can't do that. So good thing I got lucky that I broke even. But yeah, that was all for today. It was a little bit of a long hold. So I think what I want to work on is getting in for cheaper entries, looking for a retest of maybe at the high of day. Not always is going to be like that, but today, this week, last 2 weeks have been like that. And yeah, see, looking at the daily, we may touch the 90 EMA tomorrow. We've bounced off it like every other day. Yesterday we bounced off it the day before. Um, 3 days before that we hit that. That's when we gapped down. So we have some gaps to fill potentially. There's a lot of stuff to really focus in on. And IWM, I didn't trade it because just I didn't like how this was looking. IWM was actually taking the lead, but I was like, this is way too much. Like I couldn't find a good entry. Um, immediately broke through. I was waiting for a better pullback to possibly get in, but that's when I just had it on the sidelines and focused on QQQ. But yeah, that's all for today. So good luck.